They called my son the maid's child. Now I'm taking everything they stole from me. Hi Reddit. I never imagined I'd be the one writing a family drama here, but here we go. I, 32F, grew up believing my family was close-knit, respectable, loving, the kind of family neighbors envied. My parents owned a large house, ran a small but successful business, and cared a lot about appearances. That last part is important. They cared about looking perfect. Acting perfect. Pretending everything was perfect. But perfection has a cost, and as I learned the hard way, it's usually paid by the person they value the least. My son Matthew is 6. Sweet, shy, sensitive. He loves dinosaurs, drawing, and baking cookies with me. We've been living with my parents for the last 2 years while I got back on my feet after a messy breakup with my ex. I cooked. I cleaned. I worked full-time while also contributing to bills. And I watched their grandchildren while they told everyone how much they supported me. That support came with daily reminders that I was a burden. But I ignored the digs, until Christmas. The Christmas incident. We were at the annual family dinner, the one my parents brag about all year. White tablecloths, crystal glasses, expensive wine I wasn't allowed to touch because we can't waste that on someone who doesn't appreciate it. Everything felt fake but manageable, until my niece, Sophia, 9, pointed at Matthew and said loudly, "Grandma says you're the maid's child." The room burst into laughter, real laughter, the kind that makes your bones go cold. My son's eyes went wide. He looked like he was trying not to cry. I felt my heart physically ache. And all I could think was, they think this is funny. They think my child is beneath them. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I took Matthew's little hand and quietly said, "We're leaving." No dramatic exit. Just dignity. Not a single person stopped me. The text. Late that night, like nothing happened, my father messaged me. "Don't forget to send your share of utilities tomorrow." That house? I paid 1/3 of the mortgage. I paid for groceries. I took care of most of the housework. And I raised their grandchild while they bragged about being generous. I stared at the message for a long time, then replied, "You will get what you deserve." He left me on scene. The secret they forgot. My parents think they own the house. They don't. When I moved back in, I helped them refinance because their credit was terrible. The mortgage is in my name. Legally, I own 62% of the property. They signed the documents without reading because I handled the paperwork for them. They thought I was stupid. They thought I'd always be grateful. They thought I'd stay quiet. But I spent the night reading every loan document, every clause, and every message from them reminding me of my place. And then I started planning. Why I stayed so long. My parents have always treated me differently from my sister. She was the golden one, cheerleader, beauty queen, married young to a guy with money. They worship her. When I got pregnant without being married, I became the disgrace. My mother once said, "We keep you and that boy here because we're good people." As if we were some charity case. I used to believe I owed them. For shelter. For childcare help. For stability. But on Christmas night, watching my son struggle to hold back tears while adults laughed at him, everything snapped. I realized I don't owe them a damn thing. Tomorrow changes everything. I stopped paying the mortgage, they don't know yet. I canceled the automatic payment for utilities, they'll find out soon. And I requested a legal consultation for eviction. Yes. I'm evicting my own parents. Not out of revenge. Not out of spite. But because my son deserves a home where he isn't treated like garbage. And I deserve respect, or at least, distance. They mocked my child's existence. They laughed at his pain. Now they can laugh while packing boxes. Eviction day, they thought they owned me, until the sheriff arrived. The morning after Christmas, the house felt haunted. Silent. Heavy. No one dared mention what happened, but everyone kept looking at my son like he was a stain they couldn't wash out. My mother was furious that I'd left the dinner without thanking the guests. My father avoided me, not out of guilt, but pride. And my sister? She had the nerve to say. Kids repeat what they hear. Don't be so sensitive. It was funny. I stared at her and realized our worlds were galaxies apart. The first warning shot. 2 days later, the utility company called. Autopay was declined. My mother burst into my room without knocking. Why wasn't the bill paid? We could have been shut off. I calmly answered. Because I no longer pay for people who don't respect my child. Her face twisted with a disgusted smile. You think you're better than this family because you're on some paper? That's nothing. This is our home. You're lucky we let you stay at all. She walked out like she won. But she hadn't seen anything yet. The legal bomb. 3 weeks later, after paperwork, signatures, and consultations, I handed my parents a formal notice to vacate. Their faces were priceless. Dad's voice shook. You can't do this. We raised you. We let you stay here. I kept my tone level. I paid the mortgage. I own most of this house. And you humiliated my son. You have 45 days to move. My mother screamed like I'd stabbed her. You are a monster. How dare you choose that child over your family? That child, my son, was standing behind me. He heard every word. I stepped aside so she could see him. He is my family. My father grabbed the papers and ripped them in half like a dramatic movie villain. There. It's gone. We're not going anywhere. I actually laughed. That's a copy. The real one was already filed. He called me ungrateful. A leech. A slut. But none of those words hurt anymore. Because the sheriff was on my side. The smear campaign. Within days. My sister posted a Facebook rant about me being unstable. My aunt called saying I was destroying the family unity. My cousin wrote that my son should be grateful he even had a roof here. Suddenly, everyone who was silent while they mocked my kid felt brave. They said I was overreacting. That's how family jokes. He's too young to remember. But I remember. And he will too. Trauma sticks deeper when you're small. The kitchen fight. My parents refused to pack. They slammed cabinets, muttered insults, and weaponized guilt like professionals. One night, I found my mother in the kitchen, blocking the fridge. She sneered. When we're gone, you'll come crawling back. Single mothers are nothing without help. I stepped closer and lowered my voice. I'd rather struggle alone than let my son grow up thinking this abuse is normal. She slapped me. It didn't shock me. She'd always been better at anger than love. Matthew came running, terrified. I picked him up and walked away, again. Sheriff Day. The next week, a sheriff and a lawyer showed up. My parents still believed it was a bluff, until uniforms entered their hallway. My mother sobbed. Please, please don't do this. We're your parents. My father tried to puff up his chest. This is illegal. This is our house. The sheriff looked at the documents and answered. Actually, it's hers. My mother dropped to her knees. My golden child sister screamed that she'd sue me. They packed in rage and denial, yelling that I'd regret this forever. Maybe I will. But watching Matthew sit safely in the living room coloring dinosaurs while they carried out their boxes? That felt like breathing clean air after years underwater. But here's the plot twist. I let them believe eviction was the end. It wasn't. In reviewing financial documents, I discovered something they never wanted me to know. Pushpin: they had been stealing money from the account my grandmother left for me. Pushpin: tens of thousands went to my sister's boutique business. Pushpin: they used my inheritance as if it were theirs. The money was enough to change everything. And I'm coming for it. Hard. My grandmother chose me, and they stole what she left. After the eviction, silence returned to the house, but it wasn't peaceful silence. It was the kind that hums under your skin, reminding you the war isn't over. Matthew finally slept without nightmares. He stopped asking why Grandma hated him. That alone made everything worth it. But then, paperwork arrived from my lawyer. And everything I thought I knew about my family cracked open. The hidden account. When my grandmother passed, she left me a trust fund. I was 19, naive and grieving. My parents said, "We'll manage it until you're responsible enough." I believed them. Why wouldn't I? Turns out, they used my trust as collateral for my sister's boutique loan. Payments for her wedding. Down payment for her SUV. Renovations for their living room. And thousands in credit card debt, none of which was mine. My name was on the trust. Only mine. But they had forged annual signatures with a shaky version of my handwriting. Every page screamed betrayal. When the lawyer looked up, his words were ice. "We can pursue criminal charges." I just sat there. Hands shaking. Heart numb. They stole my future, then insulted me for struggling. Confrontation number 2, the parking lot showdown. I asked my parents to meet at a public place. Neutral ground. Less opportunity for drama, in theory. But my mother showed up already crying, mascara smeared. "Why are you doing this to us? Haven't you taken enough?" I slid the folder across the table. Bank statements. Forged documents. Receipts for my sister's boutique that read trust disbursement. My father snatched the papers like they might burn him. "We deserved that money. We supported you all your life." Supported? They fed me resentment and called it a meal. I leaned in. "You stole from your daughter. You mocked your grandson. You think love means control. I'm done." My mother slammed her fist on the table. "You're punishing us because of that bastard child." I stood up so fast my chair screeched. Matthew wasn't there, thank God, but hearing that again? It confirmed everything. I whispered. "He's worth more than this entire family combined." I walked out. Their shouts chased me across the parking lot. Sister calls, and it gets worse. That night my sister blew up my phone. "You're ruining my life. That money was an investment in my business. Mom said you didn't even want it." Ah yes. The famous golden sibling logic. Take everything, act victimized when caught. She kept ranting about her boutique possibly closing, debts, her husband being furious. Then she said, "Honestly, it's your fault for not being successful. If you made better choices we wouldn't have needed the money." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I hung up. The lawsuit. My lawyer filed. White heavy checkmark civil suit for the full amount of the trust. White heavy checkmark damages for fraud. White heavy checkmark recovery of interest lost over 13 years. White heavy checkmark legal fees. White heavy checkmark court ordered no contact protections. The sum was devastating for them. Especially since my dad had just lost his job. And my sister's boutique? Failing. Hard. Suddenly, the family who mocked me for years? Begging. Texts. Voicemails. Pathetic apologies. "We didn't mean it like that. Family sticks together. Your son won't have grandparents anymore." That last one wasn't an apology. That was a threat wrapped in emotional blackmail. And I refused to unwrap it. The final straw. A week later, my father left a letter in the mailbox. No greeting. No apology. Just, "We are your parents. That entitles us to everything you have. You wouldn't be anything without us. Drop the case." That line? Entitles us to everything you have. I read it 3 times. Then placed it in a folder labeled Exhibit D. Grandmother's Truth. Before she died, my grandmother told me something soft, something tender, something I didn't fully understand back then. You're the only one in this family who knows how to love without conditions. That's why this is all yours. She saw them clearly when I couldn't. She tried to protect me from exactly this. And I will honor her. Not by forgiving them, but by breaking the cycle they worship. Where we stand now. They're forced to rent a tiny apartment. My sister's marriage is collapsing. They're drowning in legal fees. The family group chat calls me heartless. Meanwhile, Matthew laughs when he wakes up. We bake cookies without judgment. Our home is quiet, safe, ours. For the first time in my life, the mirror reflects someone I'm proud of. Not obedient. Not ashamed. Not small. Just a mother protecting her child. The truth that burned everything down. Court day arrived like a storm. I wore a simple black dress. Not to mourn them, but to bury the old version of me they controlled for so long. Matthew stayed with a babysitter, safe and far away from the toxicity of courtrooms and accusations. My parents and sister sat together like a united army. But their faces told another story. Sister, pale, shaking. Mother, red-eyed and furious. Father, stiff jaw, fake confidence. Their lawyer was loud. Aggressive. Mine? Calm. Surgical. The courtroom bombs. The first blow my lawyer struck. White heavy checkmark screenshots of texts. White heavy checkmark the Christmas dinner incident, witnesses included. White heavy checkmark a pattern of verbal abuse. White heavy checkmark their refusal to move out peacefully. White heavy checkmark forged trust signatures. Every page made my parents smaller. Then came the financial report. Pushpin $147,000 missing. Pushpin unauthorized withdrawals for years. Pushpin emails between my parents and bank officers, pretending to be me. When the judge asked how they justified this, my mother stood up, trembling, and snapped. We needed that money more than she did. We are her parents. We have rights. The judge raised one eyebrow. No. You have obligations. And you failed every one of them. I swear the air left my mother's lungs. Sister's meltdown. My sister suddenly burst into tears mid-hearing. I didn't know. Mom said it was a gift. I thought she agreed. The judge asked. Do you understand that this was theft? Her mascara streaked as she nodded and whispered. I can't afford to pay it back. Her husband, sitting behind her, muttered loud enough. Then maybe you shouldn't have acted like a spoiled princess. Their marriage was already cracking, this just shattered the glass. The twist, DNA results. My father then stood and yelled. This is all because she got knocked up by some stranger. That boy ruined everything. My lawyer smiled. This was planned. He slid a sealed envelope across the table. Your Honor, we have paternity testing results that explain why the minors were targeted. Hart. Stopped. Apparently, while we prepared the case, my lawyer dug into something else. Pushpin, why did they always hate Matthew so viciously? The judge opened the document. Read silently. Then looked directly at my father. Sir, you are the biological grandfather of the child. The room froze. I felt dizzy. Everyone stared at my father. My mother screamed. You promised she would never know. It hit me like a brick wall. My father wasn't just cruel to Matthew because he was the maid's son. He was cruel because he was his grandfather. Meaning? Pushpin, my ex, Matthew's father, was my father's secret son. Pushpin, a child he had out of wedlock. Pushpin, a child he paid off to keep silent. Pushpin, a truth he buried for decades. The humiliation they threw at my son? Was them choking on their own shame. My sister screamed at my father like he stabbed her. You cheated on Mom again? With who? Mother slapped him in front of everyone. Court security rushed in. The judge banged the gavel so hard I thought it would break. The verdict. When order returned, the judge read the decision. White heavy checkmark full repayment of trust fund. White heavy checkmark interest and damages. White heavy checkmark formal written apologies to be filed with the court. White heavy checkmark no contact order for 6 months. White heavy checkmark counseling mandated for my father. White heavy checkmark my sole ownership of the house confirmed. My mother cried into shaking hands. My father stared at the table, broken. My sister just kept whispering. He lied to us, our whole lives. And I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. Outside the courtroom. My mother chased after me, crawling emotionally, voice hoarse. We're still your parents. Please, don't take everything from us. I turned back, and for once, I wasn't scared of her disappointment. You already took everything from me. And from him. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. My son will never hear you call him names again. And I walked away. His tiny hand wasn't in mine at that moment, but I swear I could feel it. Where we are now. My parents are living separately with relatives. Their reputation? Dust. Sister moved in with a friend, marriage on life support. The entire extended family is begging me to forgive and forget. Forgive? Maybe someday. Forget? Never. Matthew sleeps peacefully. He smiles more. He knows he is loved. He knows he matters. And that is everything. Final, a new beginning. I haven't spoken to my parents since the day at court. Every message they send goes straight to my lawyer. The silence is louder than any insult they ever threw. Matthew and I moved to a smaller city. Fresh air. New faces. No ghosts of Christmas past. He started at a new school, and on his first day he told his teacher, "My mom is my hero." That was the moment I knew I'd done the right thing. My grandmother once told me that love is proven through protection, not obedience. I finally understand what she meant. My parents taught me what family should never be. My son teaches me what family can be. So this is our new life. A home filled with peace. A child who knows his worth. A mother who refuses to accept anything less than respect. The chapter with them is closed. The future is ours. And as for Christmas? Next year, we'll celebrate surrounded by people who treat my son like a miracle, not a joke. Because he is. Sparkles. The end.